Welcome, my son. Welcome to the machine. This song by Pink Floyd has more truth and meaning than we would like to perceive. Could it be that we are really born into a system of enslavement? These past few years, we have witnessed a majority that simply conformed to anything that the government dictated through the mass media. There were those that for whatever reason held a different perception to what we were being told, and this divided the people like no other time I can remember. It made me want to understand what makes us tick and why we behave in such a way. Our collective programming begins at birth with parent fear-based programming, technology and religion. Then we have our educational phase of programming with government educational conditioning and indoctrination. Throughout these years we are additionally programmed by the television set, be it movies or a series. There will be subliminal suggestions, advertising, and we are also influenced heavily with family traditions and our peer groups. Each day, hundreds of millions of children around the world are forced to engage in boring school activities, to memorize disconnected bits of information without being given the opportunity to enjoy learning, develop useful skills, or maximize creative potential. So what exactly is the purpose of such institutionalized schooling? And is this really the best way to educate our children? In most nations, educational systems are set up in a similar fashion to how animals are trained, where children who comply with adult demands are given a pat on the head and rewarded. Those who endure the training process increase their chances of getting into good colleges and hopefully moving on to good jobs. Cast your mind back to when you were in school. Remember the permission mindset you were placed under. Raise your hand to be called upon. Get into single file lines. Even your basic biological needs cannot be met without getting permission from an authoritative figure. And then, you will only eat when it is scheduled. This mindset conditions you to wait to get the call, hoping you get chosen for the job you have applied for, anxiously waiting for the results and decisions of processes over which you have no control. Then there are those who are bored, confused or disinterested, who may eventually find themselves in lower paid jobs and run the risk of being drawn towards harmful and antisocial activities such as gang membership, drugs, crime or alcoholism. Schools are society's indoctrination system, created to train and measure our children, using test scores to determine their future social status. The system has been set up this way since the beginning of the last century, as a way of programming children, much as soldiers are trained, to serve as tools for those in positions of authority. It's a highly mechanistic and authoritarian system, not at all in tune with the creative and holistic ways young people naturally learn. Time is cut up into disconnected periods, while children are forced to comply with the instructions of a single adult, rather than freely exploring what interests them. Subjects are taught in fragmented compartments, as if they had no connection to one another or the real world. We learnt maths and science purely to pass tests, to memorize. There are never lessons on how to find true love for oneself, or even how to grow food and prosper with the abundance that nature provides us. Schools must be efficient, after all, they are funded by public money. As such, there is no time for individualized education concerns, even with kids of the same age being in a class together. It doesn't matter what one person believes, it will not be catered to unless the school system deems it important. The children are at the mercy of the system, or the machine, and the people running the system could decide to do pretty much anything. Then, there are the laws that were put in place where parents would receive fines if their children were absent. The machine is there to create robots, and although the majority that leave schools are highly intelligent, wonderful people, they are conditioned to behave and to not go against the status quo. This then follows into adulthood and into the workplace. It's the same machine, enslaving you, keeping you on your toes to bow down to the establishment. But this doesn't mean you are powerless. It just means once you become aware of your programming, you can start to unlearn and find your true self. These mental shackles can be unlocked. This liberation is yours for the taking. Thank you for listening. Please let us know in the comments below about your time in school. Do you feel that your early life has conditioned you to behave in a certain way in adulthood? Do you think these could be the reasons the populations choose to act on the whim of a politician rather than making a decision for themselves? Let us know. We would love to hear your thoughts.